Hello, and welcome back to episode 2 in our Pillars of Eternity campaign, playing as the level 2 Cipher, Kasemir. Last episode, the caravan we were travelling with was attacked and effectively wiped out by several Glanfathan raiders. Although we were able to defeat the raiders with the help of two of our surviving fellow caravanners, Kalisha and Heodan, the three of us were nevertheless forced to flee into the nearby ruins of Killant Lee, to avoid being caught in a deadly Beerwick storm that was passing through the area. Upon emerging on the other side of the ruins, we were witness to a strange occurrence. A number of mysterious folk clad in robes and hoods were activating an odd machine. The machine, once activated, had the peculiar effect of knocking us unconscious and granting us strange dreams while we slept. Upon waking, we found that Kalisha and Heodan were dead. And funnily enough, the machine had turned a number of the mysterious folk that activated it into statues of ash. Evidently, it also cursed us with an affliction of waking visions, for frequently now we see ghostly apparitions at the edge of our view, but whenever we turn to view them, they disappear. Hopefully there is a cure for this malady. And so we will continue on to Gilded Vale, our original destination, in the hopes of finding answers as to who those mysterious folk were, what that machine is, what it does, and what on earth it has done to us. If you're enjoying the campaign, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on the video, let me know what other content you'd like to see on the channel. Without further ado, let's carry on. So we're currently in Valewood. We've explored a little bit up there. There's a bit more of the map we can explore, so let's get to that. There's a, what is that? A wolf. Okay. We can take a wolf, I think.
Keeping quiet.
Probably. Probably can't sneak up on it, but that's alright. Easy. Easy. Got some experience for that. And what is that? Settler's Arrow. Yep, we'll take that. Ooh, more ghostly apparitions. It's the edge of the map there. What is this? The grass is still flattened behind the wagon's wheels. Barrels of cabbages, potatoes, and squash have been overturned and abandoned. We have a crate here which has Scroll of Tanglefoot. Rapidly grows a patch of twisted vines that surround and entangle anyone unlucky enough to get caught inside. Characters who set foot inside the area of effect become hobbled for 4 seconds. And Silver Lush, or Luske, I don't know. The most common Valian coin found in the Deerwood is the Silver Lush, which means fish, so named for its resemblance to the scales of a fish. And some camping supplies. In amongst these supplies are bedrolls, blankets, rations, and other amenities intended to keep hardy explorers from succumbing to the elements. And we can't take those because we've got the maximum amount. We can only carry 2 at a time. We can always come back for them later if need be. River Reed. And shattered pieces of a crate are strewn across the dirt, along with a few muddy vegetables. Alright. Let's have a look up here then. Okay, edge of the map again. That looks like a cave there. Bear cave. Maybe we'll avoid that. Probably got a big old bear in it that'll rip the living daylights out of us.
Nice and slow.
Probably hits like a truck. There might even be more than one. So we got a Zorip there, just the one by the looks of it, so we can take that out. Easy. And Admith's Wirt. And we get a Zorip tongue, the rounded dry tongue of a Zorip. And a medium shield and a Zorip spear. Okay. I'll head across this river here. Oh, another Zorip. That's alright, we can take him out. Oh, three of them. Okay. You know what we'll do? We'll charm one of them, and then kill the other two. Easy. And we'll attack. I'm wondering if it's worthwhile. Actually, maybe we should save, just in case we need to charm one of them again. Okay. Okay, alright, we got them all. Nice! Some amethysts. Amethysts can be found in a variety of shades, but those of darkest purple are considered to be the most valuable. Discovery of new sources has become commonplace in the past few hundred years, and amethyst no longer fetches the same value it once did. Cool. And there's some huts here. The struts and supports are large enough to be the ribs and vertebrae of a dragon. And that looks like a dwarf corpse. So there's a padded cap, and a quarterstaff, and golden suol. The smallest gold coin used by the Valian Republics, the suol, meaning sun, is used for high-value transactions. Cool. Alright. Oh, hello.
Steady does it.
Got jasper, amethyst, and turquoise. Turquoise is an amorphous semi-precious stone, opaque and blue or blue-green in its general color, but often flecked with darker deposits. We'll take that too. Alright. I think that's everything up there. Nice waterfall. We'll avoid the bear cave for now, I think. Check down this road and down there.
Keeping quiet.
An outlaw. Is it just the one? Looks like it might be just the one. I think it is. We'll take her out. I don't know if we keep missing like this. There we go. Okay. Get a bunch of stuff there. Some copper skate. The skate is the standard currency used in the Adir Empire and areas under their direct control. Like the Dir wooden pond, it is a small copper coin. An open helm. Helmets come in many forms, from the humble padded cap to fully enclosed steel great helms. Different cultures tend toward different styles of helmets, but outside of regimented armies, the type of helmet an individual wears often comes down to personal preference. Alright.
Nice and slow.
Ooh, okay. What's that? And a touch more salt. A number of bandits. I doubt they're friendly. How long's it take to make some damn stew? Don't rush me. You have to let the meat absorb the flavor. Looks like a dwarf. You'll be absorbing the sharp end of my dagger if you don't hurry it up. Alright. I'm gonna not trifle with them for the moment. In fact, let's just quick save. Let's see what's down here. Looks like there's something up there. Young wolf. Okay, we can take a young wolf. 2 young wolves. Alright. That might be it. Whoa, okay. Oh, that's a lot more than I thought. That's a lot more than I thought. You know what? Okay, I need to probably convert you. And then... I don't think we're gonna win this. That wolf is bloody strong. I can try charm him. And then let's use our second wind ability. Okay, and let's put some distance. Okay, that's not gonna work. Alright, best we can do is try to... Okay, I think he resisted that. That's not good. Use Gorn's Pledge. Oh, health is really low. If health reaches 0, the character will immediately drop. Depending on your difficulty settings, the character will either be maimed or killed. The maimed character suffers severe combat penalties and will die if they take any additional damage. Killed characters are just dead, and in Pillars of Eternity there's no coming back. Yeah, so when a character's health bar begins flashing red, it's a sign that they may soon be maimed or killed. Rest at an inn, or use camping supplies to fully restore health. Well, unfortunately, I think we're gonna probably die, because this guy's got a boatload of health. I think we should probably use Gorn's Pledge, and then try to use that maybe. Did a little bit of damage. Not enough though. Oh, no, that was a big hit. Yeah, we're dead. Yep, damn. Alright, okay, fair enough. That's that. Well, we'll just avoid those wolves, I think.
Nice and slow.
You know, we don't have a lot of constitution, so our health and endurance are not particularly oh, I loaded the wrong save, didn't I? I should have loaded the quick save. Yeah, not particularly high, so we'll just avoid avoid those wolves, I think. We'll go around this way instead.
Keeping quiet.
Can always come back. Actually, there's a tent over here. What's over there? Nonton! Damn thing, come on. That's some river reed. Alright, let's speak to Mr. Nonton here.
Hello.
This man appears to be hurriedly dismantling his camp in quick, jerky movements. He looks up as you approach, his expression tense and drawn. Greetings, he says, a little breathless. On your way south, is it? He wipes his brow, turning to face you. The sooner you're clear of these woods, the better, I think. Never mind the woods. There is a strange machine in the ruins up north. There were these figures, clad in black, performing some kind of rite. The man's brows furrow in concern. Ruins! The old Engwithan place. You'll want to keep clear of those, whatever you saw. Strange things always crop up around Engwithan sites. I don't doubt those people you saw were up to no good. Let the Glanfathans deal with it. They don't take kindly to trespassers, whatever their intentions, and there's enough to worry about in these woods as it is. His expression falls. We came across a bear. In a cave to the north. Got the better of a friend of mine. I only just made it out with my life. In any case, this forest's already cost me a friend. I'm heading home before it takes anything else. Well, hang on a second, who are you? Name's Nonton. Born and raised in Gilded Vale. Haven't had a spot of luck since. His face twists. Luckier than Pearly, I suppose. What happened to your friend? We didn't see it coming. Nonton's voice shakes a little as he speaks. We were following a stag. Pearly, he saw something in the brambles, and we went tearing off after it. We all but stumbled into the cave. Poor Pearly didn't stand a chance. The bear was on top of him before we knew what was happening. The beasts will take what they will, I suppose. He smiles sadly. And this time, Galawain's favour fell upon the bear. Where did you find this bear again? In a cave a ways up that way. He turns to point to the northwest. I wouldn't seek it out if I were you. It was a great brute of a beast. Would hate to hear that it took another life. Farewell. Yeah, I think I'll leave the bear. I mean, we couldn't take the wolves. That out, we can take the bear. I think we'll just head on to Gilded Vale. We can come back to Valewood later. It's going to take us 8 hours to get to Gilded Vale, but that's alright. Good things take time. So here we are in Gilded Vale, having crossed the Valewood. Okay, we pretty much have to go down this path here. Clink. Well, that doesn't look very welcoming. Hope that's not what they do to other people who came to settle in Gilded Vale. String them up on a tree. Yikes. Looks unpleasant. Here we go, the welcoming party.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale.
A man
We're
approaches
pleased to know
us.
that we've had some recent vacancies here.
A man approaches us, his skin as dull and grey as the desolate village behind him. He scans us with sunken, lifeless eyes before greeting us. His voice is a dry croak. He glances at the gnarled, leafless monstrosity of a tree next to him. Yeah, I feel at home already.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
His gaze swivels back at us. He appraises us over half-moon spectacles and scratches his chin. Sired a Hollowborn child. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, what are you talking about?
An infant born without a soul, of course. Lord Radric has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
He steps to the side and inclines his head ever so slightly toward the deformed tree. Oh, okay, so are these the people who sired a Hollowborn child, that is a child without a soul? Was that what Kalisha was telling us about? Must be.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
I don't know what I want to ask. Yeah, is there someone in town who could help? Yeah, alright, let's ask.
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all.
Okay, so yeah, we said, I've been feeling strange ever since a close call with a Beerwick. Is there someone in town who could help? The magistrate frowns. Whatever your problem is, it sounds like a matter for an animancer, okay. Oh, he points at a body hanging from the tree. Great, so they strung up the only animancer in town. And he sneers at us. Very good.
But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
Okay. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understand our rules. You said something about Hollowborn and Widewind's legacy before. Care to elaborate? He blinks. I forget that you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. He lowers his voice to a whisper. Children, born without souls. He shakes his head. Pitiful, dumb things that breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say the Hollowborn are a disease. Some say they are a punishment from the gods. He raises his empty hands. In truth, no one knows. But they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Widewind's legacy stuck in honor of that foul, blasphemous pretender. His voice shakes with vitriol. I see. Lord Raedric's decrees may seem strict at times, but he has our best interests at heart. He nods. Before I got here, I saw several people conducting a strange ceremony near some ruins. He regards you carefully. You'll want to mind where you mention that. Trespassing on Ingwithan ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting some new ritual to appease the gods. People will try anything these days. Berath have mercy. We certainly have. No, I don't think so. Just as they finished, there was a beerwick. He polishes his spectacles on his sleeve. If you'd been that close to a beerwick, you wouldn't be standing here. Well, Kalisha and Heodan aren't. I can't... Okay, alright. I was hoping to ask about the tree, but it looks like that dialogue option's gone. Oh,
Keep
goodbye.
out of...
Urgit nods curtly. Keep out of... Oh, the bell tolls.
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last.
3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed.
Urgit looks out toward the east, his expression unreadable. He blinks slowly and turns his attention back to you.
3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
A peculiar spasm crosses his face, and the corner of his mouth quirks up into a mirthless smile. What do you mean? You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy is struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Berath must be redoubled. He sets a steady gaze on you. Well, what happened? He shrugs one bony shoulder. I will know more details when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps, but that is not your concern. Okay, does this affect the Lord's offer to new settlers? I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get some rest. The inn or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. Okay, I don't know if I want to be aggressive towards this guy. It seems like he's got a bit of power in the town. I'd rather not get on his bad side just yet, so we'll just say goodbye. Farewell. Alright. Keep out of trouble. Yes, we will endeavour to do that. In fact, let's save here. Move along. Urgit wears a twisted frown. I'm afraid I still can't help you find residence here. Lord Raedric's son was deemed a Hollowborn. This makes circumstances even more fraught than before. Well, tell me about Lord Raedric. He comes from a line of nobles who have defended these lands since Adir times. Raedric II was an early supporter of Deerwooden independence during the Revolution, and the current Lord's father perished in the Saints' War. Hollowborn began appearing in the Deerwood shortly after the war's end. Lord Raedric has taken it upon himself to purge the curse from Gilded Vale. His measures have been severe, but necessary. Unfortunately, it may not have been enough, if the bells were any indication. What's the Saints' War? Our age's most egregious example of man's madness. 15 years ago, the people of Radsaris decided that Widewin, their living saint, was the literal incarnation of the god Eothas. Urgit wrinkles his pinched nose. The supposed saint took it upon himself to liberate the Deerwood, supposedly from allegiances to less worthy gods, but I've never known an army to conquer a land for its people's own good. The war lasted about a year, but you can guess what that year did to the worship of Eothas in the Dyrwood. Lord Redric's forebears had all been Eothasians, but after his father fell defending us from those fanatics, he personally saw that the temple of Eothas here in town was shut down. He points at a few ruined walls near the tree. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understands our rules. I'd like to know more about Gilded Vale. We're a frontier village, as are most settlements in the Dyrwood. Gilded Vale hasn't grown much since its establishment in the colonial days, and the last 15 years have seen our population shrink further. He takes in the ramshackle houses and half-fallen fences. Hence our recruitment of fresh settlers. Yeah, well, I mean, killing and stringing everyone up who size a Hollowborn child is pretty extreme. That's probably why you don't have too many people left. Why has Gilded Vale's population been shrinking? Widewind's legacy, of course. Many women have had difficulty bearing healthy children of late. A few years ago, Lord Redric decreed that no mothers of Hollowborn are to be allowed in Gilded Vale. His mouth tightens into a firm line. His lordship dealt swiftly with the objectors. It may be harsh, but if it purges us of this curse, is it not worth it? Tell me about those ruins behind the tree. That's what's left of the Temple of Eothas. His lips pucker. Lord Redric forbade worship of the dead god after the Saints' War. It's been abandoned for almost 15 years, but there are plans to rededicate it to Berath, the god of life and death. Alright, enough about Gilded Vale, and goodbye. And you're not going to tell me anything else, no? Okay. Alright. Thank you, Urgit. Adair. I'll talk to him in a second. Let's have a look at this tree. Scattered between the roots are bracelets of twine and bead, wilting flowers, and notes half erased by the rains. Blood moss. So we can't actually grab the... Didn't he say something about looting an animancer on the tree? I guess that was in jest. He was pulling our leg, I suppose. Alright, let's speak to this fella. Adair.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Well, looking for anyone who can help me feel better. He gives an understanding nod as he takes a long drag from his pipe. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. The man smiles broadly. Welcome to our lovely village. Alright, okay, so nothing else to say right now.
Steady does it.
Let's just explore for the moment. Things are bound to get worse now. Don't be stupid, they can't possibly get any worse. Been thinking about joining family over in Deerford. They have it far better than us. Careful if you head east. Guards patrol the Estonwood, but not the Black Meadow. Okay. Duly noted. Barath's Bell. Okay, and there's the edge of the map there.
Nice and slow.
I'll have to run around this map in stealth in a minute just to see if there's anything that we've missed. Like, any, like, hidden loot, I mean. Ronan Tyronian. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. Reach out for the soul. You see a group of people standing around a wagon, transfixed on a sword as it swings in a large, graceful arc. This man holds the sword, passing it from hand to hand with a relaxed ease, making the blade dance in front of his audience. He tosses it into the air, spins, then puts his arm behind his back to catch it. The crowd claps excitedly, and a couple of them gasp, certain they were about to see a tragedy. Okay, and Hugo. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. You see a room, bright, warm, and covered in greenery. There isn't a spot in the entire space that doesn't have some kind of plant growing in it. Small germinating seeds in a corner here, large sprawling vines climbing the walls there. Although most of the plants are actually in some kind of container, there are a few that have grown from the dirt floor itself. These are just as lovingly cared for as anything else in the room. This man wanders through the plants, smiling at each and every one, an old pipe clenched between his teeth. Stopping next to one, he touches a leaf, lifting it up to look at the underside, then gently rubs it between his fingers. He takes a small handful of the soil it grows in and crushes it with his fingers. Satisfied, he drops the soil back into the pot and continues to the next plant. He hums a low, cheery tune as he moves among the plants, occasionally stopping to sing a few words of something to one of them. Finally, he reaches the door. Having visited every plant in the room, he turns back to look at them, a look of serene pleasure on his face. Then he turns back and is gone. What do we have here? Despite the rains, the stalks feel as dry and stiff as a locust's husk. Poor Alfra is so worried about her child, I don't blame her. Pilgrim's crown, that's useful. Presumably. Okay, that's the edge of the map there as well. Another villager. Used to have a lot more fortune tellers come through. Lord Radric had us chase them off. Well, that's probably for the best. You'd think these rains would be a boon for the crops. Well, not if it rains too much. But yeah, ordinarily you would think that. The Black Hound Inn's a fine place to sit and have a smoke. The crops are blighted, the legacy is upon us, this place is cursed. You just gotta have a little faith, sister. Barath's Bell. Despite the rains, the stalks feel as dry and stiff as a locust's husk. Yes, that is true. Can we do anything with the cows? I don't think we can. No. So what is this? This is Blackhammer Smithery. I heard they fended off another attack on Lord Radric's keep. Did you hear the bells? Bad news, I think. Used to have a lot more fortune tellers come through. Yeah, we read that one. What about up here? What's in that? Ale and beer. Yeah, we'll take that. And what is... where does that go? Ingrod's house. Been thinking about joining family over in Deerford. That makes another villager. You're the second one to say that. What's up there? Doesn't actually say. Goldrot Chew. Springberry. Oh, another apparition. Might be time to pack up our things, don't you think? Leave my home to the hut dwellers? Never. Right, you wouldn't want to lose that gorgeous view. Do I detect a bit of sarcasm? Doran Chamberlain. You see a large crowd gathered in the middle of a courtyard. This man stands in the midst of them, a cloak pulled over his head, holding it closed around his neck. The crowd is congregated around a platform, and they all watch, transfixed, as a man is led to the platform, flanked by 2 city guardsmen. The man is shackled hand and foot, but carries himself as a nobleman, not deigning to even glance at the crowd. The cloaked man pulls his cover closer around his face and turns to leave, hunching over to avoid being seen. A crier on the platform unrolls a parchment and begins to read, but the man pays no attention, intent on getting away from the courtyard. The crier's voice grows louder and more intense as he reads, and voices from the crowd start to punctuate his sentences. The jeers and shouts grow more frequent, and with each one the cloaked man flinches and his shoulders droop. He breaks from the crowd, coming to the edge of the courtyard as the crier reaches the end of his proclamation. The crowd grows silent again, save for the occasional shout. The man turns back to look at the platform, seeing his father kneeling before the block, neck exposed. The executioner moves into position, lifting his axe to strike. The man turns suddenly, unable to watch. There is a wet thunk, and the crowd breaks into cheers and applause. He leans against the wall, regaining his composure, then straightens up. With obvious resolve, he strides off, away from the crowd and his legacy. Rudolfia Necatore. You see a pair of immaculately polished leather boots and an impeccably maintained goatee. Their owner, a slightly hook-nosed man with a wicked grin and narrow eyes. He bobs his feathered hat at a nearby merchant as he ambles by, a small piece of parchment held tight in his fist, ink staining his fair fingers. He seems to know most of the merchants in the market, stopping to engage some, nodding at others, and even bartering for minor goods with a select few. Always smiling, laughing, and exchanging jibes. He approaches a heavy-set Amawa, smile plastered stiff across his face, and jokes about the weather. She jokes back, subtly palming him several gold coins. When he walks away, the paper in his hand is gone, and the smile on his face far more genuine. He tips his cap at her, winking, and trundles off with a new spring in his step. Okay. Okay, we've looked everywhere. We haven't gone into Ingrod's house or the Blackhammer smithery, but maybe we'll do that. Oh, what's going on up here? We know there's more grain in there, Trumbull. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. A muffled shouting emerges from inside the mill. The first of you drunkards comes through that door gets a shot between the eyes. Gods hear me, Swainer. I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads, but we'll be back, Trumbull, and we'll have fair prices, or by the flame we'll have a reckoning. Right. So there's some kind of a feud going on here. So that's something to investigate in a little bit. Up at the old mill. Settler's Arrow. And the Temple of Aothas, we should check that out as well. Let's check, oh, okay, Road Sail, that's the inn there. Okay. Alfred's house. Alright, let's go in here first.
Nice and slow.
Okay, we can steal that. No one can see us, so may as well.
Steady does it.
Okay, we can... Fortunately, we're spotted here, so we can't steal anything there.
Nice and slow.
Yeah, armor rack. And weapons there. Nothing too amazing anyway. If I work a few extra shifts at the inn, I can get one of those daggers. That shifty little Orlin better watch himself. Okay. If you want to buy something, it's Tautanu you should speak to. Or Tuatanu. Probably Tuatanu. And there is a book here. Daily Affirmations of Focus and Efficiency. Okay. Number 1. All errors can be reforged into lessons. Abaddon rebuilt himself from ruin. No setback is insurmountable. Not even death itself. So long as the soul is dedicated to the task. Number 2. Work hard, work well. Abaddon demands only honest labor and forthright service. All errors can be reforged if your first intentions are pure. Number 3. All ignorance can be reforged into knowledge. Master your craft. Excel at what you have been trusted to do. Do not offend your teacher by remaining a student forever. Each generation must forge its successors. Teach your trade to all who are willing to learn, and in doing so, multiply the fruits of your knowledge. Number 5. All difficulties can be reforged into triumphs. Meet strife with humility and acceptance. Let adversity temper the ingot of your will, and you will never shatter. Number 6. Embrace your station. Fulfill the duties of your rank, and meddle not in the affairs of your betters. All guilds fail at their weakest link. Number 7. All loss can be reforged into strength. Profitable work heals all emptiness. So long as you have the tools of your trade, you will always be able to forge wealth anew. Number 8. Value the works of others, and they will value your works in return. Share the harvest with the hungry, and your tools with the destitute. Number 9. All souls can be reforged into whatever we will. Hard work is not exclusive to life. Death is no time for complacency. Commit yourself to excellence in this cycle and the next. Okay. Fair enough. What is this? Duergen Steelcaller. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the man's soul. You see a group of adventurers surrounded by a crowd of attacking Zorips. This man is with them, seemingly unconcerned by the battle, even detached from it as he stands in the middle of his comrades, chanting, his expression bordering on elation. His voice is powerful and deep, booming out across the combatants as a rich counterpoint to the chaos of their fighting. With every phrase, the battlefield changes. His allies glow with a pulsing blue light, freezing the Zorips that surround them. A blazing pyre erupts from the ground, cutting and burning the creatures and sending them scattering. One of the fallen Zorips suddenly explodes as 3 giant grubs crawl from its corpse and attack the remaining enemies. The man continues to chant, thoroughly enthralled in the joy of the moment. Finally, the creatures have been reduced to 1. His allies stand back as the man approaches it, still chanting. He removes his hammer and swings it at the Zorip. His phrase ends as the hammer connects with its head, punctuating the spell and bringing his song to an end. Harlan Odinson. You see a man crouching, surreptitious and alone, a series of untamed shrubs, all that hides him from the vision ahead. His eyes are locked on a Delimgan, beautiful and terrible, eyes half-lidded as she hums. A bird with fantastic blue and orange plumage sits on her shoulder, trilling gently, and the man is entranced. Trembling, tentative, he stands, and the tranquility is broken by the bird's startled squawk. The Delimgan half smiles, beckoning with twig-like fingers. She does not speak as he approaches. His mouth is dripping sounds of awe and admiration. She waits, coy and tempting, and with agonizing slowness he is before her. Then something changes. She sees something hanging limply from his side, and begins to hiss. Fingers suddenly claw, and eyes black with hate. He has no time to reach for his axe or grimoire as she strikes, and just as soon as she strikes, she is gone, the only evidence of her existence the shuddering wreck on the ground. He grabs at his grimoire, nevertheless, and begins to chant, but the words of a magical language of his own imagining, scribbled in a maniacal shorthand, ring hollow, and the silence continues unabated. He turns and shrugs at someone or something, but if there is something there, you do not see it. Tuatanu. This Amawa man is of an impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deeper oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame a square-jawed face coated in smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers you a broad smile as you approach. Welcome. You're the first new face I've seen in quite some time. What can I do for you? Is this your shop? That it is. Been here on 20 years now, seen all manner of things over the years, good luck and bad. Tuatanu glances at the guard standing watch along the wall, but the black hammer smithery remains. What do you have here? You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock's not what it used to be, but we've fine weapons and armor to offer yet, all forged right here at the Black Hammer. Well, okay, well what happened? We just don't have the supplies. Been expecting the next delivery for near on a week now, and haven't seen a sign of it. Have to expect they were hit by bandits. The road out east is crawling with them. Or my workers ran off with the wagon themselves, maybe, to make some coin. Tuatanu snorts, as if that lot would dare. Tuatanu scratches his jaw, thinking, if you happen to be headed that way, maybe you could keep an eye out for a supply wagon, or my shipment at least. They'd be cutting through the Black Meadow, I expect. Only good road for it. As it is, most of our weapons go to His Grace, Lord Redrick. Tuatanu glances at the nearby guard. And that's as it should be, but it doesn't leave much for outsiders. We just don't have the iron. Alright, well, where was the wagon travelling from? We send the wagon up to New Haomar with weapons, and it swings round through Logholm and the like to purchase supplies. Shortest route back is through the Black Meadow, and then north through the wilds. Tuatanu shakes his head. Had a trader come through with word they'd made it to Logholm, but haven't heard a thing since. Alright, I'll find your supplies. Tuatanu nods. Then you have my thanks. You bring those supplies back, and I'll have plenty more to offer you. A discount to start. Oh, and if you find my workers, tell them to hurry it up, or they can take up farming instead. Okay.
Gods keep you.
Good to see you again. Afraid we're still running low on goods, but you're welcome to look at what we have.
Welcome.
Alright, yeah, let's see your wares. Of course, you won't find any finer anywhere else. Jaina's Lance, which is a unique pike. Got Hold Wall, which is a unique arbalest. And Azuraith's Stiletto, which is a unique stiletto. And then Outworn Buckler. Only usable by Paladin. Small shield, 8 deflection, properties Herald. This simple wooden buckler would not be out of place in a pile of surplus training shields. Painted green, it has 2 black iron straps across its front that form a large X. It looks like it has taken more than its share of blows, and may have been in use for far too long. But far from ordinary, the buckler is in fact thousands of years old. Its preservation a testament to a transcendence of its humble creation. The buckler originally belonged to one of the founding members of the Darkosi Palladini, when she was just a squire, thousands of years ago in the glory days of Old Valia. As it accumulated damage from war and weather, the buckler became an extension of the paladin's own irrepressibility and protectiveness, as well as a symbol that inspired those in her charge. She wore it in every battle of her long and distinguished career, and though the paladin's name would eventually succumb to the ravages of time, the shield has yet to do the same. It is said the shield was so partial to its original master that it will allow none but a paladin of similar conviction to touch it, and in times of need it has a way of making it into the hands of those whose souls mirror the greatest qualities of the Darkosi founder. Yeah, right. Cool. We've got a minor ring of deflection, a minor ring of protection, blunting belt, which gives pierce and slash damage reduction, and a cape of withdrawal, plus 15 defense when disengaging. And then bronze horn figurine, which summons an animat. Though tarnished and lustreless in its remarkable age, the intricate inscriptions and texturing still discernible on the horn's surface, along with the artifact's obvious longevity, suggest an object of expert craftsmanship, or workmanship, sorry. Pry bar, we should grab that, and rope and grappling hook, we'll grab that as well, because those could be useful. And we can actually maybe we should leave those for now, because we could get a discount if we find his supplies. and then we can come back and buy them. Alright,
Nice and
so I
slow.
check around in stealth quickly, just in case there's any hidden objects. Dented and dull, these swords look ready for the forge. Doesn't look like there's anything hidden. Even if there was, we probably wouldn't be able to take it.
Nice and slow.
Alright, let's head over to these ruins. I don't think we'll go inside just yet, but we'll have a
Steady
look.
does it.
Thale Phaleon. You see a pennant waving tall and sluggish in the wind, a rising sun embroidered on the banner, the vanguard of a small troop of paladins. The atmosphere is buoyant, if restrained, and their armor has not yet been tarnished by the elements. This expedition is fresh, young, filled with zest and zeal. At their head stands a commander, awkward in full armor, but determined in step. Despite the excitement of his fellows, he does not smile. There's a twist to his mouth, his countenance grim. He throws up a hand, halting his troop. Silence falls among them, revealing a dark thunder, deep and low. He orders them to ready their weapons and spread out. Eyes dart from horizon to horizon, necks twisting to see the source of the sound. In the distance, dust and lightning rise from the ground as Stygian clouds race towards them overhead. The soldiers stand, only the staccato movement of their breath betraying their nerves. The commander closes his eyes, calling a blessing down on his troop. Invigorated, invincible, they wait as the enemy draws closer, poised to attack. What's this child doing here? Papa says the temple is cursed. Okay.
Steady does it.
Is there anything hidden around here? Aha. There is.
Found something.
A loose brick. Potion of Spirit Shield. +3 damage reduction, +30 concentration. And some bloodstone. Amethyst and copper skate. Cool. Take all that. Okay, let's head over to the inn. Angry townsman and Aloth. What's going on here? You see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggest an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
The woman crosses her arms and spits at his feet. The others, 2 folk men and the elven woman, don't look convinced. Ooh, a fight. No, everyone calm down. Whatever this is about, I'm sure it's an overreaction. One of the other men glares at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. We're humble folk, but we're no fools, not like he thinks, mocking us while he shelters in our village. We don't take to that kind of talk from foreigners, especially not Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
The second man thrusts his chin at the elf. He stinks of sour ale.
Why, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
Okay, that was interesting.
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
A collective cry of outrage rises from the 3 locals. The second man snarls.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
Horror and shock paint themselves across the elven man's face in broad, hasty strokes. He frowns and swallows. He plants his feet. Something surly and raw flickers through his eyes.
That's where you're wrong.
The elven woman draws a blade. I don't think attacking him is such a good idea. Back down. This is absurd. I think we'll try the diplomatic approach. This is unnecessary. Wouldn't you rather be inside drinking than out here arguing? We don't want your charity either, foreigner. They squint at you through red, bleary eyes. It sounds suspiciously like you're defending him. Oh. Well, that didn't quite work out the way I'd hoped. Alright, well let's... You know what, let's just charm you. And attack you. Okay, I guess we have to... Okay, well, slaughtered a bunch of townspeople. That always goes down nicely. As the last of the attackers falls, the elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth face.
Not quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
You mean for slaughtering them? You're welcome.
Well, that is one way of putting it.
He gives you a quick smile. He straightens his hood, and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with the dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath it is sturdy and fine.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvisor, at your service.
Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I am grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was traveling with the caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Gwithan Ruins? Well, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. In half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
He leans closer. No, I need help, so I may as well be upfront. It could be helpful. Several hooded figures operating a strange machine. Aloth goggles at you silently, apparently assessing your earnestness. Finally, he gives you a clipped, awkward laugh.
You do manage to find yourself in rather interesting predicaments.
Yes, well anyway, what are you doing in Gilded Vale?
An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
He folds his arms and frowns, looking toward the center of town. And then he cocks his head, looking at you. And you? I've been experiencing strange things of late. I'm looking for an expert on souls.
Indeed. The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. He has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
His eyes flicker as he looks you up and down, and he nods at the gnarled old tree in the center of town when referencing Lord Raedric ridding himself of experts. His darting glance takes in the tumble-down buildings and the fallow, rock-strewn fields. I expect that such expertise would be best sought elsewhere. Yeah, fair enough. Just how did you manage to cross those three drunks?
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
He tenses his fingers and looks away. Well, you did tell that one man to go fuck his sister. Ah, that. He clears his throat and adjusts his sleeves. As I tried to tell them, they misheard me. Happens all too easily after a few pints, and the accent doesn't help. Well, I heard the same thing. For just a moment, he looks as if he's about to say something else. His expression brightens with mischief, but before he can speak, he forces a tight smile, biting his lips so hard you expect to see blood. Finally, his face relaxes, and he shakes his head. I should speak more clearly next time. My apologies. Okay, well, you don't exactly look like a settler.
Begging your pardon, but neither do you. Yet, circumstances can find a person in the strangest of places.
A sly grin crosses his lips. Oh, anyway, I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn.
He wrinkles his
They
nose.
say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
He gives you a guardedly hopeful look. Yeah, alright, so do I. Let's go then. Probably is better to travel in numbers in the circumstances. Particularly given we just killed 3 villagers. I doubt the rest of the village will take kindly to that. Yeah, okay, alright.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Great. Cool. We've got
Yeah.
Aloth in our party. And a bunch of dead, angry townsmen. Which we will now
Sure.
strip. Aloth has enough experience
Aye.
to level up as well. And actually we should have a look at Aloth as well. He's got more health than us. Wait, how can we see his stats actually? Stats. Oh, that's inventory. We need to look at character. So he is a wood elf, and he's a wizard, level 1. Background is a deer from the Gentry, rather. I don't know why I pronounced it that way. He's got 12 might, 10 constitution, 15 dexterity, 12 perception, 16 intelligence, and 13 resolve. He's got level 4 law, level 1 mechanics, leather armor, distant advantage. Oh yeah, because he's a wood elf, yeah. And he's got a bunch of spells. And he's, yeah, we can level him up too. Yeah, Aloth's leather armor gives him 6 damage resistance, minus 30% recovery, plus 10% area of effect. Aloth's leather armor has been lightly enchanted to enhance his spellcasting abilities. It also appears to have custom decorative patterns stitched into the surface. Unlike most deer wooden leather armor, Aloth's has been tailored in the Adir style, meaning that the torso is more heavily reinforced, but it lacks sleeves due to Adir's hot and humid climate. And he has a grimoire here, which he's got some spells in. Minaletter's Minor Missiles, Archimir's Dazzling Lights, Calakoth's Sunless Grasp, and Fan of Flames. Wizards have the ability to learn a staggering number of spells, but they are always limited by the capacity of their grimoires. At any given time, a grimoire may only contain 4 spells of each level. Click on a spell in the right panel to remove it from the grimoire. Add spells to the empty slots by clicking on the spell in the left panel. Alright. Cool. Alright, well let's level him up. Now, let's give him at least 1 point in athletics. And the rest we'll... I may as well lean into law for him, I suppose. Do we want to give him 1 point in survival? May as well. Alright, and some level 1 spells. Chill Fog. Area of effect, AoE, 13 to 19 freeze damage and blinds for 4 seconds. Got Consul Hort's Parasitic Staff, which summons a Parasitic Quarterstaff. Yeah, but we don't want him to be in the front. Eldritch Aim, 15 accuracy, Fleet Feet, plus 3 move speed. Ghost Blades. Pulls a field of unearthly blades into existence, inflicting immediate pierce damage and hobbled affliction on targets in the area of effect. Maybe. Jolting Touch. Target plus 2 foe jump, 21 to 37 shock damage. A bolt of electricity jumps from the caster's fingers to the nearest enemy and then to the next nearest, causing decreasing amounts of shock damage. Range is 2 meter jump. Yeah, so he has to be within 2 meters of the target, I think. The caster's hands become so cold as to freeze what they touch. And that will coat the ground in a slick oil-like substance, inflicting knockdown on anyone in the area of effect. Plus 3 damage reduction. Thrust of Tattered Veils. 19 to 37 crush damage. Chill Fog seems okay. Maybe we'll go Chill Fog. Ghost Blades and Jolting Touch also seem pretty good. But we'll go with Chill Fog, I think. And we get to pick a class talent or an offensive defensive utility talent. Arcane Veil conjures a protective shield of magic. Grimoire Slam allows the wizard to smash an enemy with a grimoire energized with spiritual energy, causing large damage and knocking the target back once per encounter. Blast, passive. Generates a blast on the target when using wand, rod, or scepter, doing a modest amount of damage to all enemies in a small area around the target. I mean, he is using a scepter or wand, isn't he? Area of effect for... I mean, that seems pretty good. I think we'll go with Blast. Seems like a good damage dealing one to get. Okay. Oh, do we have to edit his grimoire, don't we? Ah, he has to learn that for 100 copper. Yeah, alright, we'll just learn it. You've learned a new wizard spell. Remember that you must add new wizard spells to the grimoire before they're available for you to use. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just leave that on there and we'll... Actually, maybe we should swap something. Yeah, what does this one do? Dazed and minus 10 will. Yeah, we'll take that out. We'll put in Chill Fog instead.
Huh.
Okay. Black Hound Inn. And let's go grab Pilgrim's Crown. Should we... Maybe we should enter the inn. And then I told her that's not the pistol. I think we just missed the punchline. Or missed the setup, rather, for that punchline. I heard they fended off another attack on Lord Redrick's keep. This ale tastes funny to you. Locks the Usurper and Clink. We'll come back for them, I think. Another time. Okay, we'll go inside the inn, maybe.
I shall be discreet.
The food here has been awful lately. Think rats have gotten into the larder? Thought this place was going under after the owner left, but it's held out. Pasca.
Welcome.
Oh, greetings and welcome to the Black Hound Inn. The innkeeper bows her head curtly. Please sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by way of a good meal today. She sighs. Unless you're fond of cold porridge. I don't... Alright, well, let's see what she says about a room. I'd like a room, please. Of course, we keep them nice and tidy. Right, so inns allow characters to rest without using camping supplies. Cheap rooms are usually available, but if you have copper to spend, you may consider the more expensive options. The bonuses they provide last for a long time and affect the entire party. Okay, so we can get like +1 perception, +1 mechanics, or some resolve, or use the common room for free. Alright, let's just rest in the common room. It's 0 copper. That'll heal me up. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken, and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face has shriveled inward like mouldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Suddenly, her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air she speaks a word. Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Right, okay. So we should probably go back to that tree and make sure she's still swinging there.
Greetings.
Hello again. Anything I can do for you? We still have rooms open, and it's never too early for a drink. I could use some reliable help. Do you know of anyone looking for work? Oh, well, I wouldn't say I can speak from experience, but we do have certain sorts coming by looking for work from time to time. If you want to hire someone, I'd be happy to send them your way. Alright, let me see what I have to work with. Oh, okay, so we can create a custom adventurer. That's okay.
Hello.
Okay, no, we'll leave that.
Well met, friend.
What do you have for sale? Aloth opens his mouth but seems to reconsider. Nothing for me, thanks. Of course, we're running a little short on goods these days, but we ought to have some more soon. Beer, milk, grain, and camping supplies. Yeah, okay. Nothing
Hello.
interesting. I'd like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building's been here for years, but the Black Hound's fairly new. We got a lot of new faces in here too. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. I used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. Nobody's sure what happened to him. He even left his poor hound behind. That's the name, see? The Black Hound? It's still sitting upstairs pining after him. Poor old girl. Place ended up in my hands somehow. She laughs. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but it's been worth it so far. Okay, well how come you only serve porridge? Aloth looks at you and shakes his head quickly. It isn't by choice, I assure you. We used to serve some of the finest meals in the Deerwood. We've had a damnable run of luck is all. It's been a bad season for the crops, and we're running low on supplies. I sent Tenfrith up north to stock up. Tenfrith's our cook, you see, an artist with a good roast, but it's been days since he was supposed to return, and we haven't seen any sign of him. She sighs again. I've only just taken over from the last owner myself. I don't know what I'll do if he doesn't turn up. Okay, well, I mean, I could try find him for you. Really? Her face brightens. I'd be grateful to you if you did. He was travelling through the Vale Wood. It's probably nothing. A broken wheel, maybe. But I do worry. Oh, he was the chap with those bandits. The dwarf. You see him safely home, and I think everyone in here would sing your praises. Nobody much likes my porridge. Yeah. Alright. We'll go find him, if we can.
Aye?
Can we speak to Aloth anymore, actually? Aloth looks at you with quiet attentiveness. How may I be of service? Any thoughts on what I should do next? Well, you're in charge here, and as far as I'm concerned, any place is better than Gilded Vale. Fair enough. How long were you in Gilded Vale? He shrugs, fidgeting with the hem of his sleeve. Not much longer than you. As you saw, it was hardly the haven that had been advertised. And tell me about the Adir. I've been gone for more than a year now, but I suspect I'll always think of the forests and fields of Adir as home. We've thousands of years of history and tradition behind us, and there's a sense of dignity and responsibility that comes with that. He frowns. Of course, there's baggage as well. Our imperial past is still fresh in the minds of many, as you may have noticed here. Has it been difficult to adjust to the Deerwood? People here are informal, hot-blooded. His mouth twists into a wry smirk. More attentive to insult than to duty, but as long as one avoids provocation, it's easy enough to get along. He steeples his fingers. I've gotten accustomed enough to keeping my thoughts to myself, anyway. Fair enough.
Sure.
Nice and quiet.
Take some beer. And some milk and grain.
I shall be discreet.
Beg pardon, sir. Don't have much time for talking. Anyone seen Pearly around? He's usually drinking his head off this hour of the day. Good to see new faces around. Feels like the village gets smaller by the day. Feels like we've been seeing more bandits along the roads of late. If you're not an ale, I don't have business with you.
Welcome.
Don't know who you are, and don't much care. Keep walking. We're not here to chat with foreigners. Aloth narrows his eyes. Careful. Looks like they're cut from the same cloth as those rowdies who attacked me. He wrinkles his nose. Smells like it too. I saw you outside of the mill. What was that about? Well, someone fancies themselves a meddler, eh? What's that about? It's about Trumbull thinking he's king of the town, on account of he's got the mill to his name. The dwarf's jowls quiver with rage. It's about him barely giving us anything for the wheat we bring him, and then cutting our purses when we need to buy grain. It's about farmers going hungry while some bastard gets rich off their crops. That's what it's fucking about. Now shove off. Well, what are you doing? What if I buy you all around? That might get them talking a bit more. Will you talk to me then? Swainer considers it, briefly. He looks to the others. Fair enough. You bring us something to wet our throats, and might be I'll feel up to trading words. This place has gone to shit since Tenfrith left. Yeah, fair enough.
Good day, stranger.
You again. What do you want now? I've brought drinks. Hey, so you have. By the flame, I never thought I'd be so happy for a mug of the Black Hound's shit beer. I lost an ox beer. Gods, that's good. Alright then, you've got my attention. What is it you've got to say that's worth a round of drinks? Maybe you could tell me more about what's going on. Yeah, let's do that. It's like I said. The miller's in charge of the grain prices. He says they're fair, but I know for a fact that folks like Alfra pay half what we do. The dwarf sighs. And maybe we've been a bit rough with him, but what are we supposed to do? We can't keep paying. We're going to starve. And do you think Trumbull's going to be sorry about it when we do? Maybe I could talk to him for you. Yeah. Ha! You think you'll get through to him when we haven't? The man's thick as a peat bog. I hear he got his soul read, found his kin used to grow sunreed trees for their Adiran lords, up until they figured out their side was losing. Explains why his knees still ache to bend to whatever lord or lady crosses the road. He'll be holed up in that mill for days, the coward. The dwarf eyes you consideringly. But here, if you want to give it a shot, then good luck. We'll owe you one if you manage it.
Hail, traveler.
Okay, so I can attack him, or I can convince him to be diplomatic. Oh, it's you again. Swainor raises his mug. What is it? Yeah, okay. I may as well go talk to Trumbull before I try and resolve it. You just come into town? Kith like you seem to do alright. The food here has been awful lately. Think rats have gotten into the larder? Drunkard. And who are you then? Another fool come to answer Raedric's invitation? Our great lord had my sister run out of town after the boy was born. She was the only family I had left. Not sure where she is now. I'd almost forgotten for a second. That's what they call hollowborns, because they throw them in the river and they float. Blazes, I need another drink. I should have left town years ago. Yeah. Pretty sad state of affairs. Development of a Crucible Knight. Part 2, Senior Ranks. I'll read that another time. I'll talk to them another time. Gold-plated ones are from backers. Sing us a song, Blisser. Roaches scatter and flee under the crates. For the last time, I don't know any dwarven drinking songs. I'm from Logholm. Ha! You were right. She does get rosy-cheeked when she's angry. Grab a drink, friend. Not much else of worth in this town. Says the woman from Thane. Hey, we said we wouldn't mention Thane. Okay. In guest. 10 years of Torn. Please leave me be. I am full to sickness with what I have seen of this place and its people.
Yeah. Nice and slow.
Is that... Am I going to get in trouble if I try open
I'll get it open. Finished.
Yeah, it's stealing, technically. There's a nice ring in there, though. More backer written characters. The Black Hound. This hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked as if waiting to hear a particular sound. It looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. Sorry, girl, don't think he's coming back. The dog whines softly again, head tilting. Well, you can come with me, maybe we'll find him on the way. The dog's ears perk up. It trots over to you and barks happily. You have gained an item, Black Hound. Cool. Well, let's equip the Black Hound as our pet. This small dog has a glossy black coat, an affable disposition. She trots along at your heels, gazing up devotedly whenever you come to a stop.
I'll see what I can find.
And this goes out onto the balcony, I think. Ah. Yeah, up here. Right. We'll go back inside.
Steady does it. I shall be discreet. I'll get it open. Finished.
A rapier, padded armor, a duelist's hat.
Nice and quiet.
Orlean says Raedric's paying good wages for new hands.
Keeping quiet.
No hidden caches anywhere up here. No. Probably less chance of him stringing us up if we're on the payroll. You want to get your tits lopped off defending some lord's keep, you go right
I'll
on
see
ahead.
what I can find.
Steady does it.
Aha.
Look.
Potion of Eldritch Aim and Gold Rot Chew. Cool. Alright. I think that's everything in the inn. The floorboards are sticky with spills that no one has bothered to clean. It's a cool window. Okay. Well, let's go back to the hanging tree. Speak to Adair, maybe. See if he has anything to say. No, nothing to say. Alright. Well, there you go. Caldara de Baranzi. Let's speak to Urgi first, though.
I have received confirmation that Lord Radric's heir was not born well. My lord has issued an injunction on all new homesteads until he can be assured that the village has been cleansed of all Aothasians and whatever other undesirables that have brought this curse upon his lands. It would be best if you left town as soon as possible. I would suggest returning to your old home. There will be no place for you here. You may stay at the inn until you can make the necessary arrangements, but I would not advise remaining long. I expect Lord Radric will be most thorough in his efforts to purify this place.
Well, this is outrageous. I came a long way. Then you should have no problem continuing on. Trust me when I say it would be best if you were not here when Lord Radric's men are dispatched from his hold. They will be looking for anyone who might have brought the legacy upon us, whose very presence might have polluted his wife's womb. They will extinguish all possibilities. Yeah, okay, well, whatever. Sooner we're out of this town, the better, probably. Let's speak to the Animancer dwarf corpse here, Caldara de Baranzi. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward, rigidly from one side to the other, when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. Reach out for the woman. Leave the body alone. Now leave it alone. Okay, that doesn't do anything, alright? Reach out for the woman then. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman, and when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear, or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
Her eyes squint as she peers down at you. Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I. Wherever here may be.
She considers for a moment, looking down at her own limp body. Her tongue clicks and she shakes her head. Okay, well, how are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Caldara moves her tongue around in her mouth as if testing it. She gives you a motherly smile. I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there.
She nods.
You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
She nods again. What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are, visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how.
Interesting. So we can see souls. Only the ones that haven't passed on, though, through the Ardra stones. Or however they pass on. Oh wait, no, it's all souls. Okay, interesting.
A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
What do you mean, when all goes well? That's a bit ominous.
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
Alright, well that sounds like our next destination then. An inspired gleam crosses her murky eyes. Okay, well that deals with the first part, but another thing, I think I survived a Beerwick. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing.
Caldara appraises you with scholarly interest for a moment before resuming her cheerful demeanor.
Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
She smiles sadly at a thought. You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
She clicks her tongue. Alright, I'd like to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
She shakes her head in protest. Okay, well, nevertheless, who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
She breathes a mild sigh, sending a small beetle skittering from inside her cheek, and then her arms turn outward stiffly in what might be a curtsy as she introduces herself. And what happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
She shakes her head. Alright, and just one last thing, I probably should have asked this first, but what's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been.
She chuckles.
To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations. Miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other. Turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I loved the Valian republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
Right, so they regulate animancy or something, do they? Okay.
Of course, dear.
Actually, I think that's all my questions, so farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldara closes her eyes, and her head slumps forward over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Okay, I've been granted Crucible of the Soul. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. I'm a watcher. His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that is interesting. He gives you a sly grin. And I expect this has something to do with the hooded figures in the ruins, In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about watchers? Only that they're rare, and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions. He coughs, as you just demonstrated. Alright, well, let's continue on. Is there anything
How
else
may I help?
that we can talk about? No. But we have leveled up. Let's put 2 points into lore. And we'll just put 1 into survival to get the damage reduction. Alright, and now we get to pick some abilities. So we've got Amplified Thrust, bounces psychic energy harmlessly off the target and onto the closest nearby enemy, causing pierce damage and violently pushing them backward. 51 to 70 pierce damage. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Mental Binding, paralyzes for 11 seconds. Overwhelms the target's mental ability to communicate with its own body, paralyzing it and causing its soul to emit a shockwave that can leave nearby enemies stuck. That's pretty good. Mind Blades. Co-ops the target's essence, generating a slashing blade of force that attacks them before leaping to up to 5 additional targets. Also pretty good. Phantom Foes. Minus 10 enemies needed to flank for 29 seconds. Frightened for 8 or 9 seconds. Alright, so it just makes them all flanked. Invades the minds of targets in the area of effect, causing them to believe they are surrounded by phantom foes, leaving them flanked for the duration. Psycho-Vampiric Shield. The Cipher uses the target's strength of mind against it, stealing a portion of its resolve in order to deflect incoming attacks. Cool. Okay, and Recall Agony. Causes the target to relive the psychic trauma of an injury moments after receiving it, experiencing the damage all over again. 30% of all damage reapplied over 18 seconds. I think we'll go with Amplified Thrust and Mental Binding. Those seem pretty good. Psycho-Vampiric Shield would be, I guess that'd be good if we were in melee. But we're not planning on being in melee. Mind Blades also seems pretty good. Recall Agony could be okay, but might be better to just use the damage dealing ones. I don't know, depends if we can use that before we get into combat or not. I guess we can't, so probably these two are best. Okay, we'll go with them. And
how may I help?
Aloth is leveled up as well. We'll just put more points into lore for him. And he has a bunch of spells to choose from here. We can only pick 2 though. Bewildering Spectacle. That will confuse enemies in an area of effect. Blinding Web. That will cause them to be stuck. That's plus 15 DR to burn, shock, corrode, and freeze. But only around Aloth though, not around anyone else. Combusting Wounds. Causes enemy wounds in the area of effect to ignite, inflicting additional burn damage over time each time they are wounded. Foe AoE 5 burn damage over time when dealt damage for 26 seconds. That doesn't seem terrible. Then we've got Consulhort's Corrosive Siphon. Eats away at the target spirit, inflicting corrosive damage and converting that essence into endurance for the caster. Drains 56.5 corrode damage as endurance over 13 seconds. That blinds for 26 seconds. Paralyzes for 10 seconds. And then is afflicted with boiling pustules of foul-smelling liquid that erupt from their skin, sickening those nearby. Infused with Vital Essence, plus 50 max endurance and health. Merciless Gaze, 15% of hits converted into crits for 58 seconds. That could be useful. That's just -6 to a bunch of stats. Mirrored image. 25 deflection until hit or critically hit. Necrotic lance. 37 to 48 corrode damage, and then some damage over time. Ray of fire. 10 to 17 burn damage per second. Lasts 10 seconds. That's not bad, but hard to aim those things. Rolling flame. Creates a rebounding ball of fire, inflicting burn damage on anyone in its path. On bounce, it does -50% damage, so bounces up to 3 times, 21 to 32 burn damage. I kind of like Necrotic Lance, and Combusting Wounds is pretty good, and so is the Corrosive Siphon. Even Fetid Caress. Let's go with Combusting Wounds and Necrotic Lance for the moment. We can always respec if need be. Yeah, okay, I've read that already. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Alright. Let's go.
17 and a half.
17 and a half. The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-coloured hair leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Aloth frowns. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
Adair extends his hand and looks us up and down while he grimaces. What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Ah, impossible. I don't drool half as much. Ha! So you're already familiar. Still, you'll have to forgive my curiosity. Round here we prefer to turn a blind eye to our dead. Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Let's not use that word round here. There'd be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here.
Well, I'm
Radric
both of those.
especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be.
He glances about quickly, then leans in.
Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're going to be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
The war? Saints' War. Only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Eothas, overthrows Red Ceres, marches on Deerwood, so we gave him a Deerwooden hello. What's a Deerwooden hello?
We blew him up.
He smiles at this, but it is the smile of one recounting a joke for effect rather than enjoyment. And who's Eothas? God of rebirth and redemption. Formerly, anyhow. Maybe they call him something different where you're from. I had other questions. I got time. Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Redrick sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority someone in town was working with Kolsch, plotting Redrick's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward. So Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Redrick, then for protecting me. What does the town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea.
He shrugs.
Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedrick's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
He looks up at the tree, his eyes trailing one of the swaying bodies. Aloth glances at you and lowers his voice. You can see why I was so eager to leave. Okay, well, who's Kolsch as well? Someone who got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now. Probably will be till they catch him. And if you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? He gives a half smile. Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Widewin's legacy started with Widewin. Oh, you could come with me if you want. Where are you headed? Some place called Caed Nua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before.
Something kindles in Adair's eyes, and the vigor of purpose finds its way into his voice.
Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
He scratches his beard absently with a callous thumb. There's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
He shrugs. He glances briefly at the tree, and then tilts his head forward and gives you a pointed look. Alright, well let's get going. Cool. So we've got Adair, who is a... What is he? What is Adair? Fighter. First level fighter. He's a meadowfolk from the Deerwood. He's a farmer. 16 might, 16 constitution, 11 dexterity, 12 perception, 10 intelligence, 13 resolve. 2 athletics, 1 law, 2 survival. Cool, alright, well, let's speak to him. I hope that old watcher's still there. Been years since I heard anything about him. What is it you want to ask this watcher in Caed Nua? Just some things about the past, about the war. I'd been thinking I missed my chance to find out what I wanted to know. That old watcher, though, he opens up some new possibilities. I want to ask something about you. If you're sure, what did you do before this?
Oh, other than the war, I never strayed too far from where you found me. Farming, mostly. I was never much for cities. Never learned a trade. In my younger days, I thought I was going to go preach the word of Aethys. Just in our temple there. My parents encouraged it. I made so much trouble for them growing up. They used to say it'd be best if I got in good with the God of Redemption. Of course, us blowing him up probably didn't help my chances there. But if anybody'd forgive you for blowing him up, it'd be Aethys.
Did the people of Gilded Vale really try to kill you?
They, they did. It was strange timing, because we just won the war. They celebrated when I came home. There was music and dancing. Trumbull used half his grain making this big honey cake. I still dream about that cake. Like having the best lover of your life, but only for one night. And they were all sorry to hear about my brother. It took a while for word of the purges to reach us. Aethasians being murdered in the streets. Cold morn and the like. No way would they let something like that happen in Gilded Vale. That's what they all said. But the weeks went by and the purges spread. Pretty soon they weren't so sure my brother fought for Deerwood. And they weren't so sure I did. Caught me by surprise after all the celebrating. Should have seen it coming after the tailor said he was gonna fit me for some new clothes, but then all he wanted was my neck measurement.
Really?
Nah, not that last part. But you had to think about it. Says a lot about the place I've been calling home all these years.
Well, why'd you stay so long in a town that hated you?
I'm sure my parents are still wondering the same thing. The Aethasian purges were like this madness had come over the town, like a disease. Seems like when you see something like that, your instinct is to wait for it to pass, even when you know it probably won't. The family whose farm I worked on, they had a little hollow-born girl. And they heard the Animancers had this cure, the Salvation it was called. They went running.
Adair pauses a moment, lost in thought.
This Salvation, they were putting animal souls in children. You might have heard about it. Giving them enough personality to care for themselves. You can guess how that turned out. Matter of time, the children broke down. Became wild things. Monsters.
Yeah, jeez.
Anyway, these farmers put the family dog's soul in their little girl. For a while, the girl, she's making eye contact, she's feeding herself, albeit in a kind of messy way. And one day she snaps. They found her gnawing on her brother's bones. Had to chain her up, put her in a cow pen.
Jeez, wow.
Well, the mother, she wouldn't have anything to do with the girl after that. But the father, he'd visit every day. Feed her chickens, toss water on her once in a while to get the dirt off. Most of the village, they'd whisper about him. Poor man, they'd say. Sick with grief. He was just waiting for his daughter to look up one day and recognize her papa. He was waiting for her to get better. Didn't understand that at the time, of course, but these days I think about him a lot.
He shakes his head and his eyes narrow, contemplative.
They, took a while, but the weeks
Oops.
caught me by surprise after all the celebrating.
That's not what I want to do. Do you have any family? Just my parents now. They took a ship back to Adir when the purges started. Wanted me to go with them, but I didn't see things like they did. Been a long time since I've seen them. I really should visit, but for some reason I haven't felt much like leaving home. Good thing they chased me out, or I might have never left.
What's on your mind?
I was wondering about Aethys.
It makes two of us.
What is there to know about Aethys?
If you're looking to find religion, maybe you want to start with a god that hasn't been burned to dust, but I won't stop you. Aethys, he was a young man with a silver crown. Carried a candle around with him. Sounds like I'm giving a bad eulogy here.
He was a lot of different things to different people, I guess. Rebirth, redemption, light. Out in the country, he's Gorn, the farmer, who helps all things pass, seasons and people both. He watches over the weak, does Gorn, sees imbalances made right. You could see why all the copperless rowdies around here might take a liking to someone like that. He was real popular here for a time. These days you won't find too many worshipping Aethys in the open. It's hard to know who still does it in private and who's given up. Feels like I'm the last one sometimes. He smirks. If that's the case, he deserves all the mourning. Well, so you do still worship Aethys then, or what?
In my way. I don't suppose he expects me to show up at his temple these days. Not much left to do for him other than keep his memory alive and keep hoping that he's just been playing a joke on all of us these past 15 years.
Far as I know, he hasn't said anything to anybody since the God Hammer detonated. Well, why worship him then? He grimaces. Well, if it turns out he's not dead, and I gave up on him, I'd have betrayed my God twice. Even the God of Redemption's gotta have standards. I'd probably be reborn as a fat Amawa's horse. That's not really it, though. Not all of it, anyway. He casts a sidelong glance. Guess it's more I still believe in the things he believed in. I just hope his death doesn't mean the death of those things as well. Sometimes it looks that way. So why did you choose to worship Aethys in the beginning, then?
Raised that way. My family's been Aethasian going way back. Suppose it wasn't much of a choice at first. Don't know for sure why my family started worshipping him. Probably because of Gon looking after folks like us.
He looks you in the eye, conspiratorial. Could just as well be that my ancestor did something so bad only Aethys could forgive. It'd explain a lot about where I got some of my less respectable traits. So did you only worship him because that's how you were raised?
Mm-mm. There was something I genuinely liked about Aethys. Always. Like he understood people better than the other gods. Knew all our flaws and weaknesses and accepted us for that. Folks are at their worst when they're afraid. A god like Aethys, he made you realize there was nothing to fear. Made you a better person.
Adair shakes his head.
Of course, he goes away for a few years, and look what happens.
Okay, and what made you think Weidwin didn't speak for Aethys?
Was his actions. Not when he started his rebellion, and not even when he took over Rhaed Saris. It was when he sent his armies into Deerwood.
Up to that point, he was sticking up for his people. That's what Aethys does. At least the Gorn part of him. Those farmers were starving, and their government didn't lift a finger. I figured if it wasn't Aethys himself, at least he had the right idea. But then he sent armies across the border, even crossed it himself in the end. Word was he was chasing refugees that escaped the rebellion, wanted to punish them, and punish us for allowing them to live here. That just didn't fit for me. Those are the deeds of a vengeful god. Skane or a Wordica maybe. Or just a man who'd lost his sense. I still have trouble believing it, but there's no one left to ask if it's true. Okay, and what about the purges?
You sure you don't want to talk about something more pleasant? Like the War of Black Trees or the Legacy or something?
Adair looks at you as though he's looking directly into the sun. It's eye-opening, seeing just how naked you are when you've got no god to protect you. The Saints' War was a hard time to be a Deerwooden. People thought it was the end times. They talked big about how we were going to defeat a god, but I don't think there was a man from here to the White March didn't think he was going to die. It does something to you. Thinking you're going to die at someone else's hands. There's a rage that comes. Indignation. Imagine a whole country full of that. Might have been Cold Morn that started it. Town near the border. They let Weidwin march right on through. Rest of Deerwood cursed their names till the end of the war. Some say it was the Eothosians there that persuaded the town not to oppose the army. Others said it was just cowardice. It was like the Legacy that way. No one knew the real reason, so they just picked whichever one best suited what they wanted to believe. Either way, that town was burning before the first ashes of Aethys hit the ground, and it felt good to the people here, to be in control after being so helpless. So the fires spread. A lot of us Eothasians went the way of our god. There were claims from the Church of Magrin that she'd actually commanded the purges. I found that hard to believe. Sounded to me like people doing what they wanted, wrapping their god around it like she was a cloak. Then again, that's what I thought about Weidwin.
What's on your mind?
Alright, let's get going. That was fruitful though, Eder.
Hey.
And we can level you up as well. We'll put some points into athletics, I think. Received healing multiplier, bonus damage. No, I think we'll, just put points into athletics for Adair. Grants the fighter an additional use of knockdown per encounter. Modifies knockdown +1. Or rapid recovery. Boosts the fighter's hardiness, increasing the rate of his or her constant recovery. Well, we should get that at some point, but I think the first one we'll get is Hold the Line, which gives +1 enemies engaged. So that he can tank more for us. Just put more points into athletics. And we get another ability. Defender. The fighter adopts a more conservative combat strategy, concentrating on locking down enemies that stray too close. The fighter increases his or her number of engagement targets to 3, but at the expense of deflection. Or we can get Confident Aim. Converts grazers to hits. And increased damage. Disciplined Barrage. The fighter intensely focuses on his or her training, raising their accuracy. Or Guardian Stance. The fighter devotes all his or her energy to defending allies. I think we'll go with Defender. To engage more enemies. Yeah, lose a bit of deflection, but can lock down targets. Keep them away from Aloth and myself. So that seems good. Alright, let's save our game here. And we'll leave it there. This has been a bit of a longer episode, but fruitful. Got a lot done. But we'll continue in the next episode. Look forward to seeing you there. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And I'll catch you next time.